Greetings and salutations, everyone. I hope everyone is doing well today. Today I have an update from Victor, probably the longest update that I've had, and I have some terrifying encounters to share with you as well. Before we get into today's upload, though, a couple links. As you know, I rely on my Patreon, my PayPal, and my merch to help this channel to continue to grow and go. All those links are in the description below. I also have a second channel for creepypasta, fanfiction, and scary voice acting. Stories that really don't fit on this channel. Now, if that's anything that you're into, follow that link and give those stories a listen. You may just like what you hear. Also, my first produced and narrated book is available on iTunes, Amazon, and Audible. Written by Tom Lyons, it's called Dogman Frightening Encounters. The link to that is in the description as well. Now, I've definitely taken enough of your time. Let's get on with today's upload. Shall we? Today's first part of the upload is going to be the update from Victor that I received this morning. Well, it was almost across the river when I seen it this morning, and I took a shot from about 500 yards and hit it in its upper left back shoulder. And it knocked it down, but it came up mad as all get out. It rushed into an aspen thicket, and I could not see it anymore, so I grabbed up my pack and rushed to the river to look, but still couldn't see anything. I also don't see a spot in either direction that I can get across and not get wet. It says the temperature is -1 degree this morning, and I know that when I get to the other side, I'm going to have to build a fire to get warm, but I can see plenty of dry wood to build with. I'm thinking how far ahead of me he will get with me having to do this, but I know it's going to be necessary for me to survive. So off with the pack, and on my head it goes, and my 9-pound rifle is in my right hand, and I'm hoping I don't fall as I try to cross. I'm about halfway, and there's a large splash, maybe 10 feet to my right, and I thought, damn, what a fish. Started to take my next step, and I see this bowling ball-sized rock land maybe 8 feet in front of me, then another and another, and I can't see where they're coming from. I have my rifle up, almost to my shoulder, and realize he is zeroing in on me, so I press forward, only option I have. Finally, after about 4 solid minutes of this, I reach the shore and take up a spot behind a large boulder, and the rocks continue to rain down on me. He's found his distance and is hitting the boulders with every rock he throws, and the cold has taken a hold of me from above my stomach down where I got wet. I know I have to move in advance to 2 more boulders about 20 yards further up the way to where he had crossed the river, but now he's throwing everything past me. So I look real good for about 2 minutes. From the spot in the boulders, he can't see me, and I still don't have a visual on him. I turned open my pack, pulled out the flare to use to light a small fire. As I'm warming my feet, I notice silence and deadness in the area. I grab my rifle and start paying attention to my surroundings, and then the screams start. It sounds like a freight train in the middle of the woods. I put some more wood on the fire, hoping this would help protect my backside. Then I see the aspens being pulled up out of the ground about 85 yards from me, and I'm talking 6 to 7, though, aspen. Then I was able to see him twist the ball off of one of the aspens, and then broke it about 20 feet up and made it a club. I guess it took it in its right hand and started angling to the river. Me, I stayed behind the boulders, and it finally walked out into the open and was now facing my direction and looking for a fight. I held behind the boulders, checked my receiver to make sure I was loaded, and decided that when he got about to the 30-yard mark, I was going to shoot him in the head first, then the chest shot, if he didn't go down straight away. It did go down with the shot to the head. I'm back by the fire waiting for pickup and a ride to the hospital. I will have to measure it, but I guess it's 19 feet tall and will weigh 2,400 pounds or close to it. Its arms are longer than I am tall, and I'm 6'4", so maybe 7 feet long, and I couldn't pick its arm up. Talk later, Victor. My last hunt, I'm putting my guns away now. My response: do you think it's the one from before that you tracked from Idaho to Canada? His: could be. I believe it was heading back to Canada, and if you are to look on a map, our direction of travel was taken us to the 30-mile stretch that he had used in the past. Me: so more than likely, how many more big things like him are out there? Not many. He was eating Dogman, LOL. Is he a Sasquatch looking or different? His response: Sasquatch looking, except much larger. I could lay on his chest, and I don't think there are many of these out there. I don't think I killed the last one, but I could have. He may have been trying to locate a female and ventured too far from home. And he killed 5 of my agents in about 7 minutes, according to Redacted, the agent who survived. Yes, I will admit I was worried when I finally saw this thing out in the open and was able to take it all in. And it had that aspen tree in its right hand. It was a sight to remember. Once everyone's names are cleared, I will be able to share this encounter with you, if you want it on your channel. Well, a helicopter from Fort Sill will be here in about 30 minutes to get me to the hospital in Denver. And the second copter bringing the detachment to get this thing into a cargo net and transport it to Fort Sill, and then reload it in a larger helicopter to carry it to Virginia. So, absolutely, I really want him to share from the beginning of what transpired, how this whole hunt transpired, like right from the helicopter incident on to today. Probably talk to Victor tomorrow, maybe the next day, give him some time to rest. And but yeah, there's the update. I'm also going to ask him about doing the St. Louis Arch encounter. I know we've got some Q&A to do, but I'd really like to get some hunt stories into the fold of this. So today's second part of the upload. In January of 2004, my girlfriend and I were on our way to visit family in Coutez, Texas. We share an apartment in the city of Kingwood, in the suburb of Houston. The quickest route to my mom and stepdad's house is through Cleveland, Texas, and take 105 from there to almost Coutez. I work as a shift foreman for a chemical plant, and my shift ended at 11 p.m. My girlfriend was packed and ready to leave when I got home, approximately midnight. We left from Kingwood and traveled through Cleveland onto 105. We'd been on 105 for about 20 minutes, about 45 minutes from Kingwood. We were approaching the Trinity River bottom when I noticed something in the center of the road. My girlfriend was dozing beside me, and I yelled, thinking we were about to be in an accident. She sat up and screamed that we were about to hit it. I locked the brakes of her truck up, and when I did, whatever it was stood up in the road and started to run to our right toward the woods. My girlfriend started to open her door, and I grabbed her to stop her. She yelled, "That was a Bigfoot." I heard of them, who hasn't? But to be honest, until that very moment, I would never have believed they existed. By the time I looked up from her, the creature was standing on the side of the road watching us. She opened her door, and the creature made a squalling sound and turned into the woods. Where the thing was squatting in the road was a doe that had been hit by a car. I'm not sure if it was looking or feeding on the doe, but it had been moved by it. You could see where the creature had shifted the animal on the road, or at least it looked like that when I got out to look. I am not too sure of what else to say about this, but that's what we saw. Today's third part of the upload. Wharton, Texas. I was sitting on the porch about 10 o'clock on a Tuesday night, August 31st. My dogs, a lab mix, and our pit bull started acting strange and growling. I heard something over to the right of our house. It was very dark over there because we have no light over there. It sounded like something heavy stepped on a piece of tin that was over on the ground. I couldn't see anything because of how dark it was. That's when I decided it must be someone over there because it sounded like a very heavy person had stepped on that tin. I ran inside the house and got my husband. I told him I think someone's outside. My husband got his pistol and went outside. As my husband was coming out the door, our pit bull ran inside the house very scared. Our lab mix kept staring over to the left side of the house, where we have a light, and my husband's trailer. We stood there on the porch for a little bit, when suddenly this grayish animal that looked like an overgrown monkey jumped up on the corner of the refrigerator that was lying on the tail end of my husband's trailer, just outside of the chain-link fence. It was stooped over and very fast. As soon as it jumped up on the fridge, it jumped off and tumped the trailer back off its blocks and made a loud banging noise. It scared us half to death. My husband fired his pistol toward the ground just as started to run off very fast. It ran off like it was going out across the road toward the lake that is across the road from us. My husband called the Wharton County Sheriff's Department, and they sent a deputy out. He came and talked to my husband, and they looked around but didn't see anything else. I hope this thing is not dangerous because I have kids. I always thought things like this weren't real, but now I know differently. They are very real. After we saw what we saw, the El Campo newspaper had an article about a similar animal about 30 miles away in Montgomery County. We couldn't believe it. Our nephew said he saw an 8-foot monkey digging in a dumpster in the early 90s. We did not believe him, but we do now. Today's fourth part of the upload, Jasper County, Texas. Me and my friend were at my uncle's house. We were on the back porch playing darts. We started to notice that there were a lot of meteors. We stepped onto the backyard to get a better view. We were facing toward the front yard. I was looking up when I noticed something move out of the corner of my eye. I looked and there was a creature around 5 feet tall running through the front yard, from the left side of the yard to the right. It was not large like most reports. It had a muscular definition, black or dark brown, no neck, no hair on the face, chest and stomach area. Inside its arms or palms of its hands. Me and my friend saw the thing, but it wasn't big like most people describe. It was just going through his yard, a kind of slow pace until it saw us. Then it ran faster than anything I had ever seen. And I live out in the woods and go hunting. I sat there thinking, what is that? I was quiet for a while. I didn't want to say anything and sound crazy, and hey, I just saw a Bigfoot. I looked at my friend Aaron. He had a strange look on his face and was shaking his head. He looked at the same spot in the yard. I asked, "Did you see something?" He replies, "Yeah." I then asked, "Did it look like it was on 2 legs and running upright?" He replied, "Yes." Then my heart really started skipping beats. Not only did I just see something, but my friend did as well. My friend said he didn't see it that well, but he saw it, and it looked like it was running upright on 2 legs. I saw it good. It wasn't a deer or a pig or anything I've ever seen before. It was black and had areas where it didn't have any hair. In those areas, there was shiny skin. If it was someone in a suit, they must have spent a lot of money, because I could see its muscles moving. And it would have had to have been the shortest track and field star in the world to fit in that suit, that small. But I don't even think a track and field star could run that fast. It was going at a slow jog. Then it must have smelled or heard us. It slowed down, turning its head while slowing down. Then it stopped, looked at us for about 3 to 4 seconds. Then it ran toward the dark area of the yard. It ran so fast, no man can run that fast. It was out of the light where we couldn't see it in like a couple of seconds. It must have covered 75 yards in 3 seconds. It was fast. But there wasn't any smell or any strange odor. But after that, we did hear something in the woods. It might not have been what we saw. It could have been anything. But it seemed like whatever it was in the woods was close to us. And I just had this feeling that whatever it was watching us. Front yard has a large pole light, lights up the whole front yard. Backyard, where we were, it is dark, and the creature ran through the front yard. My uncle didn't see the creature. He said, "Y'all didn't see anything. Y'all just messing with me." After that, we went inside. Nothing else happened. We continued to talk about what we saw. My uncle said that we were crazy. My friend Aaron saw the creature as well. He says he saw it and could tell it was on 2 legs. He said he couldn't see any really good details either. He only saw it when it was running away from us on 2 legs. He was stargazing before the thing ran out. This one is interesting just because of what's going on down in Rrifying, Texas. Rrifying, Hood County, Texas. First incident happened 2 months ago when I came across something digging in the ground under a tree not more than 150 feet from my shop around 2:30 in the morning. I went on patrol. Dogs freaked out. I got a really bad feeling, so I went and got another guy to help me hunt whatever it was. And when I turned around to go get him, something hauled butt down the road and jumped into the woods, disappearing. That's when my parents first told me of panther stories, but I still think it was too big to be a panther. The only reason I figured they were right was because it moved so fast. But the thing last night moved just as quick when it wanted to. It was almost like it wanted me to see it. I really did feel like it knew where I was the whole time. Last night, this morning, I was asleep on the couch, and we have about 7 dogs. It started running around the house, frantically barking and carrying on. We recently had a small fire that cleared out the back part of the woods back there, and more people keep moving to this area. So I figured it was an animal or a coyote or something they were chasing. I run a small security perimeter every night, so there's always been a rumor of a panther up here, not to mention snakes, so I carry a weapon with me. I've never seen a panther, but I have many times come up on something I assumed was a panther story, but I never thought about anything else. My wife woke up and made me go look, so I loaded my rifle and headed out on my security sweep. I first hit the road about 200 to 300 meters from the house, small dirt road. I don't use a flashlight. I can see fairly well. I have a brindled boxer who's freaking out, sniffing the ground every 4 or 5 steps, and just really jumpy. Usually he just marks it and goes away. I saw no signs of other dogs. When something jolted past me out of the bushes, almost knocking the boxer over, he ran in the other direction. It scared the crap out of me, and I got off 3 shots but missed because my rifle jammed up with 2 shells in the chamber. I thought whatever it was I scared off, and I used my pocket knife to release the 2 jammed shells. So I walked about 350 meters to my shop and grabbed some more ammo. I felt the hairs on my neck standing up. I loaded my rifle and opened the door of my shop. Instantly I noticed, pardon the expression, but this stout, crap, wet grass odor thick in the air. Not more than 5 minutes had passed, and I felt like I was being watched again. I snuck around to my parents' house about 200 meters from my shop and climbed up on their roof to get a better look. I was up high, so I could see a lot more from there. We have a school bus on the property that we use as storage. It's about 350 meters northwest of my location, and I thought my eyes were playing tricks on me when I thought I saw a large, thin shadow go past the bus. I figured it was my brindled boxer's shadow because there's a light out on the shop. My house's porch light creates a lighted area there near there as well. But then it stopped and looked right at me on my perch. I had it open sight, but thought it was my dog with just a shadow. And out of nowhere behind me, the neighbor's dog starts going crazy. I turned for 2 seconds and the shadow was gone. My dog was behind me, not in front. I sat up there for another 10 minutes trying to find out what the neighbor's dogs were barking at. They were howling, growling, weirdest sounds as well. They have a hound dog, but it did not sound like that. It was really hard to describe the sound, almost like a howl, but a growl at the same time. Very distinctive. And then it all just stopped, a dead silence. I turned back to the bus area, kind of just looking in the general area, trying to figure out what I saw, or if it was my imagination. Then I saw it again. Plain as day, it was squatting down like it was hiding. It looked at me again and then ran around the side of the bus. It was as tall as the bus, but skinny. But it was dark, so not sure. I instantly jumped off the house and ran over there. The closer I got, the slower I went. Rifle held in firing position as I crept around the bus. My heart was pounding when I rounded the bus, nothing but open area of where the fire had been. I'm always suspicious of the land across the highway. They have a fence around the property that's almost 9 to 10 feet high. They have many exotic animals over there, a huge man-made water source. I think it's wildlife preserve or something, but nothing like this ever happened till it showed up. After this, I am convinced it's not a panther. I've been running security every night or so. Sasquatch, Dogman, no idea. I am unsure of what I saw that night, but it was intelligent. No matter what I think, I am absolutely sure I was not the only one hunting it. I don't think its intentions were harmful. It probably could have got to me at any time, and I am not easy to catch. It came back to the same place 3 times in one night after I shot at it. I'm not sure, but it's braver than me. Not the first time, just the first time I seen it in the open. It seemed to me like it was testing the defenses, probing to a point. It's either fast or there is more than one, because our homestead are half a mile from each other. The neighbors and their dogs flipped out last night as well. I just know what I saw was not a coyote, a wild pig, or a panther. Today's 6th encounter, Lincoln County, Oklahoma. I'd just gotten off of work approximately 60 miles away and had been driving home. I saw something, and I'm not sure what it was, but it was large, bending over, with its back facing me. It looked like it was picking something up off the highway that runs over the bridge. It was pretty different than I had imagined anything like that would look, though. It was really tall, even bending over the way it was. It had long, straight brown hair, though like a dog or something. I always pictured them to have black hair, but this was brown. There were things hanging in its hair, like little sticks and undergrowth-looking stuff. It was real dirty. The only other thing I remember is the smell as I drove by. It was god-awful. I was driving my convertible with the top down, and the smell of whatever it was, I can't describe how bad it was. That's really all I saw. I was driving about 60 miles an hour, and after I saw whatever it was, I sort of got the creeps and sped home and ran in to tell my husband what had happened. I didn't even put the top back on the convertible. The bridge that I saw whatever that was on is only about a quarter of a mile from our house, so needless to say, I'm not really happy about coming home from work after dark anymore. Also, I know this sounds weird, but about a week ago, before the sighting, we kept hearing a strange scream. That's the best way to describe the noise, and it was not one of our calves or any of our livestock, and after about 2 days of hearing this noise, it finally stopped. The next day, we found a little baby goat with the umbilical cord still attached and dragging the ground all alone, no mother goat to be found anywhere. We found him all alone in a wooded area behind our house. When we found him, he was terrified. He didn't make a noise or anything. It took us hours to catch him. He finally bleats now, and it sounds nothing like the noise we heard before we found him. We've also lost 4 baby kittens in the last month. They seem to have just disappeared. We do live way out in the country, though. It's possible that anything could have carried them off or had them for dinner, but it felt like it's worth mentioning. Today's 7th part of the upload. This encounter happened in May of '89. We went on a school trip visiting the ruins of an old Sandinista outpost that was politically historic, located in a town called Granada in Nicaragua. We were 27 kids all together and had special permission from our parents to go there. I happened to notice that there were houses by the place where the historical site was. They were on the hills of the mountain. Where I stupidly had gone to investigate, the houses were old and made of wood. They were about 60 yards from the historical site. As I came by the first house, an elderly man came and asked me why I wasn't with my group. I told him, "Why do you care?" He responded in an angry tone, "Because there are things out here that will take you. Our country is wild, but only if you travel in the mountains, rivers, lakes, or by sea." So I paid no mind to his warning. It was around 5:30 at night, and I was about 100 yards from the historical site. As soon as the teacher blew her whistle, we were to regroup at the bus in order to leave. I was sitting next to the tree line eating a sandwich, when behind me I heard a distinct noise. It was a growling sound that literally shook all my nerves. I immediately turned back to see if anything was coming my way. Suddenly I heard the teacher's whistle. I figured I had a good 2 or 3 minutes to get up the tree and see if I could spot anything, so I did. What I saw crawling on the forest floor did not make any sense at all. It was a man lying on the ground, about 80 to 100 feet in the woodline. His body was jerking as if extreme pain. I saw that his back looked sweaty, and as he jerked, he turned his face towards me, and I could see his eyes were red, and his nose was literally black and elongated. I quickly climbed down the tree, grabbed my backpack, and left, running toward the bus. Apparently, I was the last to return. As the bus started to drive off, I said a prayer to protect me from this monster that roams the land. I asked my grandpa the next day about this sighting that I had seen. He had grown up there and was native from our country, and his dad had been a coffee farmer, which was one of the things my country still trades to the U.S. He explained that the locals had a curfew and that they never went out unarmed to pick coffee because of these things. They had suspected they were both human and animal, and practiced evil devil worshipping, and traded their souls in order to shapeshift into many animal forms, such as the great wolf spirit. I have to tell you that when we made our life in the United States, I had thought I had left the monsters behind. But as it turns out, I'm wrong. I'm in Austin, Texas, and have been there since '96. I encourage people I know not to go out into the woods alone, and do not wear bright colors. At least go armed with a gun or a bear pepper spray, because I do believe I was lucky, but I will not tempt fate again. Today's 8th encounter. April 2004, I was turkey hunting out in Ouachita National Forest in Oklahoma, about 4 miles west from Big Cedar, with my girlfriend and my brother. I'd crossed the creek that ran alongside an old logging road that headed up a mountain to the west when I decided to hunt the creek bottom that afternoon. As I set up my turkey blind and got settled in to do some hunting, I blew one of my locator calls. It was a screaming hawk. After sitting there for about 15 minutes, I turned my head and noticed a burnt-looking tree about 50 yards to my left. I raised my shotgun and looked at it with my scope. Then I realized what I was seeing was not a tree, but a large creature like I have never seen before. It stood about 8 feet tall, had charcoal dark-colored hair covering its entire body. It was about 3 inches long and coarse in appearance. It was watching me as well as I was watching it. Its eyes were a reddish-brown in color. It had long arms and walked upright, never taking its eyes off of me, and I never took my eyes off of it. I've never been scared of anything in the woods, but this thing was massive in size, and I can say this thing scared me. I have not been back in the woods before daylight since. Today's 9th encounter. Montgomery County, Texas. After a storm, the power went out, so I got my flashlight, rubber boots, and poncho on to walk to the power line up the main road. We had a lot of lightning during the storm, so I wanted to check the line's damage. I walked up the line, up the main road, and found a place that lightning hit, so I was walking back to the house up the drive. By the way, I live on 47 acres, so the drive is long and winding to the house. I came around the bends toward the house and looked up and noticed 2 white dots. I thought they were lights from the power company working on the lines, but as I got closer, I noticed them blink. I got a little nervous, so I kept flashlight on them. At first, I thought it was a deer. Then I realized they were way too high to be a deer. As I got closer, I guessed they were about 6 to 8 feet off the ground. They blinked again. The air had an iron, musky scent to it. When I shined the light area again in that direction, I noticed a dark figure, big and bulky. Hard to tell because the flashlight wasn't that bright. It blinked again. I ran and fell in the mud. I got back up and shined the light, and the eyes were gone. I could hear it moving through the tree line next to me. I couldn't run fast enough to the house. I ran in and locked the door. Everyone in the house had never seen that look on my face before. I was scared, and I don't scare easy. We went back out a bit, and I got my Q-beam out and panned the tree line. I was beside the house, and they hollered, "Stop, look!" And there were the eyes again beside the house in the woods. You couldn't see the whole thing because it was behind the trees, just eyes blinking in the bright light. Then it ran off deeper into the woods, and we heard a throaty howl. Today's 10th encounter, McLean, Oklahoma. I was walking with my dog down a dirt road near my grandparents' house. It was about 8 p.m. and still light outside. We were about a half mile down the road when my dog started barking and going crazy. She'd just stand between my legs, growl and bark. This is a big dog, a German Shepherd. Finally, I got her calmed down. I heard some grunting and moving around in the woods to our right. I figured it was a deer or a wild hog. As I moved closer, I saw it rise up from behind a fallen tree. I couldn't move. My dog was going crazy trying to stay behind me, and whatever it was only there for a flash. I knew it turned and ran off, and my dog gave chase, and I turned and ran home. About 45 minutes later, my dog came home, panting, but unhurt. I have heard all kinds of noises at night there all my life. They sound like whooping sounds, kind of like a howler monkey I've seen on the Discovery Channel. I'd say it was roughly 7 feet tall. I would guess 300 to 400 pounds, kind of reddish brown, hair covering its body. Its face looked like a monkey in a way. Alright guys, there's the upload for tonight, and it's pretty interesting encounters. Especially the encounter that was from 15 years ago in Wharton, Texas, Hood County. I mean, stuff's been going on there for a while, obviously. And I just hope that the facts come out very soon, because, you know, this is just nuts. I mean, this guy's poor family is left in limbo. You know, I could only imagine what they're feeling right now. And they're in my prayers, 100%. Like I said, we'll get in touch with Victor very soon. And, I don't know. I'll see you guys tomorrow with some more encounters, or possibly Victor. Have a good night.